And on May 17th, 1994, as I'm training in the hurdles for this event, the 400-meter hurdles, I have a misstep over the third hurdle during a training run, and I land awkwardly, and the landing hyperextends my left leg. And that hyperextension, leg cracks, it bends the inside. It stops the circulation to the lower portion of my left leg. And 7 days later, I have the elective choice to either keep my leg and use a walker or a wheelchair for the rest of my life, or I can amputate my leg and use a prosthesis for the rest of my life.
Hey everybody, I'm back with another episode of So Success Stories with me, Summer Owens. And today, my guest is my friend, my National Speakers Association. Well, he started as my National Speakers Association friend. Now he's my personal friend and my mastermind buddy, John Register. And John is the CEO of Inspired Communications International, and he's an inspirationalist. So I'm super excited to share his story of resilience. It is a powerful one. So John, let's get into it. Start by telling us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, Summer, so happy to be on your show. So what? I went to the University of Arkansas and was a 4-time track and field All-American there. I'm a combat Army veteran. I am a Paralympic silver medalist. I have a wife. My wife and I have been married coming up on 35 years. Her name is Alice, and I'm her bookie boo. And we got a couple kids, John Jr. and Ashley. John Jr. is coming up on 35, and then Ashley's coming up on 26. I have another son. His name is Ron. He lives down in Dallas, Texas area. And yeah, that's kind of the registered clown. We love traveling. My wife's a flight attendant with the good old Love Airlines, Southwest, and we just enjoy. We make home wherever Southwest Airlines lands. So.
I love it. I love it. You got a couple grandkids that are part of that clan, or a few grandkids part of that.
Absolutely. Too many names.
We love the grandkids. We love the grandkids.
Except when they're asking me for money.
Yeah, Ron. Anyway.
My phone. Can I get a hello? Can I get a hello before you ask me for some money?
Well, hey, we don't let it go. Look, let's get into it. In this program, I have what I call the So Success system. And it is my belief that anyone, I mean, absolutely anybody, if they can learn how to overcome obstacles, eliminate excuses, and calculate choices, they can have what I call so what success. And that is success no matter what happens in life. And John, I know you, and I know a great part of your story, and I know you are a so what success man. I know you are. So first, talk about some of the obstacles that you've had to overcome to get to where you are today.
Yeah, I think, we can look at obstacles as that, or we can look at the obstacles as opportunities. But I'll define it like our character. We think we know how we're going to show up in an environment based upon what we may have experienced in the past, but we really don't know how we're going to show up until we actually get in the test. And so our character is not something we get before the test. We do have character before we get to a test. Our character is actually revealed during our times of testing. And so as we're going through life, we constantly have these revelations of how we actually show up when our life is under pressure, when it's under duress. And I had a really challenging moment that shifted me in my life. I was on my way to officer candidate school as a Army guy. So I was serving Operation Desert Storm, and I was enlisted then. I was boarded by a group of officers in Germany, and they said, yeah, we want you to come into the officer ranks. At the same time, I was running track and field for the United States Army and trying to get to my 3rd Olympic trials in the hurdles. And on May 17th, 1994, as I'm training in the hurdles for this event, the 400-meter hurdles, I have a misstep over the third hurdle during a training run, and I land awkwardly, and the landing hyperextends my left leg. And that hyperextension, leg cracks, it bends the inside. It stops the circulation to the lower portion of my left leg. And 7 days later, I have the elective choice to either keep my leg and use a walker or a wheelchair for the rest of my life, or I can amputate my leg and use a prosthesis for the rest of my life. Now, you know what kind of choice is that? And so in the moment, I mean, it was really, I mean, to be honest, it was the pain that spoke first, because my male deductive reasoning said if I just get rid of my leg, I'll get rid of this pain. And when the doctor, and I look back at, Dr. Mullins, it's his name, Dr. Randy Mullins, I said, Doc, I know my leg has to be amputated. And he immediately goes into work. I mean, 2 nights later, I wake up and my leg is gone and I'm in more pain than my male deductive reasoning had reasoned. And I just wanted something to knock it out, right? So there's a morphine drip button over there. I'm too weak to roll over to get to the button. There is a nurse's aid station, and I want to call out to them, but those loops that have been down my throat make me sound audible, get their attention. There I lay in that bed for the next 8 hours with my dangerous thoughts. And I think this is where our character, is coming in, going back to that, and how we overcome those challenges. And the so when that was happening, I was like, what's my identity now? Who am I? Is my son still going to see me as his father? Do I still have a job in the military? Can I support my family? I mean, my Olympic dreams are over. And at that point, Dr. Mullins, he comes back in the room, sees I've done a 180-degree shift in my countenance and my attitude. He immediately calls for my wife, Alice, who's at the local hotel, trying to manage herself, trying to manage me, trying to manage John Jr., her mother and father-in-law. And she just found out at 7 o'clock that morning, unbeknownst to me. You remember, I was in the military. We were geographically separated. I did not have command sponsorship to bring my wife with me over to Germany, where I was stationed. And the job she was working in West Memphis, Arkansas, at a nurse's station, calls to fire her at 7 o'clock that morning because she's been gone too long taking care of me. And when you get under duress, it's where your true leadership, it's where your true resilience begins. It starts, I believe, right at that point. So how do we overcome it? And I think that's a great conversation to have.
Well, so yeah, that's deep, and it's and I have visuals, and I'm sure everybody listening to this can picture what you experience and the pain that you experience and the thoughts behind how in that moment everything in your whole life changed. Everything changed. And so the next part of the success system is eliminating excuses. And so that can immediately, becoming an amputee can immediately give you justified reasons why you can't do a lot of things that you wanted to do.
Mhm.
A lot of reasons. We understand, because now he's an amputee. So it's a lot of your expectations are lower, right? But talk about some of those excuses that you eliminated, because you and I both know you went on to do some incredible things, and you're still doing incredible things in spite of that obstacle. So talk about how you eliminated that excuse and any other excuses you may have faced.
Yeah, I think where the excuses come in is not accepting the reality or where we are in a particular moment in time. And so for me, that is what I call the point of reckoning. Kind of my model is called the reckoning moment. The reckoning moment is realizing we do not get back what we desire to have back after some type of trauma has impacted our life. So there's because I went out doing what I did, I really couldn't make excuses for, man, I wish I wouldn't have done that run on that day, because I was training. I was doing what I was supposed to have been doing. Um, I was very fortunate. I was very thankful that I didn't have the injury when I was running in Germany, because there I was taking my bag, my track bag, and I would throw it over the fence. Now I wasn't supposed to be on that track over there, and I would set the hurdles up and run by car light. And if I would have had my injury there, I would have been on that track for probably overnight, and maybe would have bled out internally with that. But we do make excuses. We begin to say, okay, now that I can't do this avenue, this door has been shut to me. What else is shut to me? What else can I not be able to do? And you heard, some of those things in there. The part of it was, maybe I can't be married anymore. Maybe my son's not going to see me as his father any longer. Maybe I can't have a job any longer. And those things are they're not real because they haven't happened. But in our psyche, we have to ask ourselves the question: who's putting those excuses? Who's putting those negative thoughts into our heads? And because it really wasn't about when I said Alice might leave me. It really wasn't about that. The question that was really going on in my head was, am I still desirable? Do I still have what it takes? It's not about not what I'm going to be a father or not to my son. It's, is he going to accept me? Those are all ego things, not outward. It's inward. It's me. So we begin with excuses to push it onto other people when it really it's going on. What's going on with ourselves, and how are we going to overcome that aversion? I think there are three things that hold us back from making, once we've kind of gone through the reckoning moment, now we're beginning to have a new vision. Those things that are holding us back are other people who are believing for us what we can or cannot do, which is based on what they believe they could or could not do if they were in our situation. Or society. When's the last time we went to a scary movie? When the scary movie comes on and the monster comes out, it's usually somebody that has a disfigured face or something wrong with their body. Hunchback of Notre Dame has a hunch. Beauty and the Beast, we call the beast is the person that is looking like the wolf or whatever might be, the disfigured person. But wait a minute, I'm now a person with a disability. I'm now disfigured. I've been listening to all those negative voices all my life, and now I have now become that. Am I the villain now? Am I the monster? So there's a lot of stuff to get through and unpack with how we make excuses because we don't want to look or be the thing that we have associated with ourselves. We don't even realize it at that point.
Talk about that a little bit more. How do you get past that? How do you eliminate those excuses and get past that mindset?
I think that's the realization. How we get past it is the realization that that is a falsehood that's being pushed on us by somebody else. And so if I know that the direction I need to go is right, I have to be strong enough to eliminate the other negative voices that are generally probably the closest voices to us and say, oh, you know what? I don't know if you can do that. Summer, I just don't think that's the best thing for you to do, right? And so those are the voices that they might mean well, but but visions and dreams are very fragile when they first start out, and we can't allow just anybody to hear what's going on in our head. We got to get some runway first, prove the model's working, then we can go tell those folks, because I don't think you can do that. Well, I already did it. Oh, how'd you do that? And now we can start teaching, but it's very difficult to get past. It's not an easy thing. I don't, in my presentation, I really don't sugarcoat that, because I say that's the second hardest part of the model is actually breaking away from those stigmas. I mean, we saw what happened on January 6th in our country, right? People say, thank you for your service. Me, because I'm a veteran, and they make excuses. We've made excuses on both sides of that. But when I say, and thank you for your service is not the defense of the United States in war, which I did. It's a byproduct. But thank you for your service to me and to all my veterans is the oath that we took, that we will support and defend the United States Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and to bear true faith and allegiance to the same. Where do we make the laws? In the House of Representatives and in our Senate, in the Capitol building. So when that comes under attack, that's the very democracy that I'm sworn to defend. So we can't make excuses. So I say, do an action step. If you don't believe me, just read when's the last time you read the United States Constitution? What does the preamble say? What's the first 7 articles? What do they say? What our legislative branch, our judicial branch, our executive branch? This is how states are formed. Why is article number 5 the most important article in there that leads us into our 27 amendments? See, that's how we combat the excuses. We combat them with facts. And if you don't want to believe the facts, then that's your issue. I don't have to debate that with you because you're unwilling to debate.
Well, and I think, and I hear, what I hear in that is debating other people possibly, or not having to debate other people, like you said, is because the facts are there, but it's also an internal thing. And understanding what your facts really are. And that's how you can get past a lot of those excuses, is not accepting some of those things that you see as facts as the reality for your life. If you can educate yourself and get past it. I like that. I like it. Okay. So the final part of the soul success system is calculating choices. And so, John, we all have obstacles, and we can learn how to overcome those obstacles, and we can get through those by eliminating excuses, which we've talked about. But then the next step of it is making choices, and choices to move forward. Talk about some of the calculated choices that you've made on your journey to get to where you are today.
Yeah, I think the calculated choices, there are many, I think those are the binary things that we do every day, that we make these choices, whether we're going to go to the right or we're going to go to the left. And so the choices that I chose to make were in my head, were the valuable ones that were going to give me life so that I could give life to my family. So that's kind of how I look at it. Is this choice going to add value or take away? And generally we know that innately inside of us. It's when we go against it that we self-deceive ourselves. We go into self-deception. And so we have to make the choices that are congruent with what we know to be true at that time for us, in that way. So some of the choices I made, one was I chose to get out of the military, because the fact for me was the reason why anybody's in the military, one of the reasons why is to defend the United States, right? Something happens with the United States Constitution, or somebody's coming up against that, we now have to fight. And I couldn't support my buddy and my buddy's back in battle any longer. So that piece of that was over for me in my mind. So I got out of the military and chose to work for the military in a different capacity in the world-class athlete program as a civilian, instead of an enlisted guy going to officer candidate school. I also chose to get back to a healthy, active lifestyle. So I used sport again. I started swimming for physical therapy. I just happened to get so fast in the water that I somehow made the Paralympic swim team, right? Which are the parallel games to the Olympics. A lot of people think it's the Special Olympics. Special Olympics are for cognitive disabilities, where the Paralympic Games are the parallel games to the Olympic Games. They come on the 2000. Well, they come parallel, like 13 days after the Olympics closes up. The Paralympic Games, it's not the other games, it's the Paralympic Games. It's the Olympics and the Paralympics. So that we have a congruence. And then 4 years after that, after going to the Paralympic Games in 96 in Atlanta, I chose to try to pursue another 4 years. And those next 4 years would be returning to track and field, learning how to run again, and then going on to win a Paralympic silver medal in the long jump in Sydney, Australia. More choices. The choice was to return my service from the military fully as a civilian too, and then start working for the United States Olympic Committee. So that was a huge choice, because I'd never done something like that before. I'd never moved my family off of another job opportunity that came up that did not have anything to do with the military. So that choice of me doing that caused some other things to happen. It caused me to become the founder of the Paralympic Military Sport Program, which is a program that works with wounded, ill, and injured service members to use sport as a tool for their rehabilitation. That choice led on to the Department of Defense now running the Warrior Games. And Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, now came over in 2013 and studied the program that I had built, and now has Invictus Games. So the one choice I made started all these other things that took place. So the choices can be powerful. It can also help you go deeper into your own life. And right at the beginning of COVID, my wife Alice, she got really sick with the disease, and so she came down with the virus, and really got sick. We all had in the house, but she went down and almost passed away from it. So now what did that do for me? I used to say I was the home dad. I was always at all the games, and I was there. But that helped me go deeper in saying, these lives that we have are so fragile. I want to spend as much time as I can with my wife. And so that choice has permeated me. That just drove all the way down to Memphis, Tennessee with her, right? And knowing I got to fly out tomorrow. So I flew back because I got another trip, but I want to spend as much time as I can with her because we just don't know if I have that chance to do that tomorrow with her or with myself. So the choices that we make are critical. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that. And it's also probably interesting too how life and life circumstances really make you see those choices in your life in a whole different way. And the other thing that really stood out for what you said is that how one choice can position you to make so many other amazing choices if you make this one choice. And so that's why that's an important part of the SOA success system, is because of the power of the choice. And then on the negative side too, one choice can
Yeah.
position you to go down a whole other road. It's so important to make those choices.
Well,
Well,
I
John,
think you
go ahead.
Well, I think what you said that on the negative side, I try to stay positive. But on the negative side, for I don't know youth that might be listening, or even the adults, the choices that we make, right? Nothing good happens between 11 o'clock at night and 6 o'clock in the morning. Zero out there in the streets. Nothing good happens. So those are choices again that we make. And so I tell the youth that I have down the street that I work with at a local high school, I said, be very cautious on who you get in a car with, because if you all get pulled over and somebody's got in our state in Colorado, it's you can carry weed and stuff in your car. If you get pulled over with that stuff and you're underage or minor, everybody in the car is guilty. It doesn't matter. You're line it down, you're all going down to juvenile, right? So you got to be very cautious and try to think, or give yourself an out, so you can save face. Alice and I, we gave an out to our kids, right? If they ever got in a situation, they could say, "Oh, my mom's calling. I gotta go. My dad's calling me. I gotta go." And they call real quick. We go swoop them up, get them out, right? They could have their fun, whatever, but they knew that line when we got them out. We bounced them.
So life is
So
about choices all
yeah,
overall. So yeah, that's definitely one example. But me, I like to stay positive too. But sometimes in staying positive, it is to accept the reality of what some negative choices might
yes,
be, so that you can face it. Well, John, you have
absolutely.
definitely shown that you know how to overcome obstacles, eliminate excuses, and calculate choices, so you can have so much success, because you are a success story. Um, but what is your personal definition of success? And as you give that answer, I'd like for you to talk about how you became a speaker, because you're also a
Mhm.
professional speaker like me, and you're a resilience speaker. It's one of your main topics as well. So talk about your personal definition of success, and how becoming a speaker has played a part of that.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I never really see myself as successful, right? But I guess if I were to put a definition to it, it's a journey. I continue on this journey for things that I'm looking for or desire or those type of things. And I think it's the success is um, to have an ability to pursue the desires that you want to pursue. And I think that's we have the we have an opportunity to actually do that. That there's no one blocking us from trying to do that pursuit. And then once we achieve something, maybe that's the end state where you have the goal is met, and maybe that's a success. Uh, but I'd look at the end state like I won the silver medal, right? That was in 2000. We're in 2023. That's way back. I can't hold on to that. I did it, but it's no longer a part of the journey because I've already done the journey. It's only a part of the journey, like you said, as a professional speaker. Now I can go back and I can share that moment with other individuals to help them see that whatever is in front of you, you can go get the medals in your own life. And so I became a professional speaker, not out of like out of accident, because I was down in Houma, Louisiana. I remember this. I was down in Houma, Louisiana. I was working for the military, Army's World Class Athlete Program. I had like 3 or 4 athletes that were down there with me, and we would do these high school presentations. I would be the MC. At some point, I would show my leg. I would share a quip, a funny story, and then we bounce to the next high school. Well, the principals calling back to my job area, my number, and said, "Hey, can you come back down here and yourself and just do a presentation for the kids, maybe like 35 minutes on your story?" And I said, "I can do that." And they said, "Well, how much do you charge for that?" And I said, "I'll give back to you in a moment."
This feels very familiar. It's very much like my journey.
And so I did. I went back, and that kind of became for the next few years how I used to do presentations. But now I hope have, it's more. I do this full time now. Not for me to go out there, collect dollars, but more so it's the impact of the message. It's a calling now. I have to do this. This is what's inside of me to get out, because I know there's so many people that need to release from their whatever life that they're in, because I see it in the comments that come after the presentation. And so I call myself an inspirationalist, or as an inspirational speaker, because inspiration comes from the Latin word inspiro, which means to breathe life into. And so we're breathing life into others, that they get their own vision, they can go off and do, because they are now alive. And so they're alive to do what? Now their inspiration, I believe, is a catalyst to motivation. So motivation in turn causes actions. Actions leads us to transformational results, and those results, they re-inspire us, but they allow someone else that's watching the process to catch the vision. So that's what I do now. I call myself an inspirationalist because I go around trying to breathe life into those things that are stagnant or dead or need a little bit of kind of just movement inside of them, the life to come back on the inside. So yeah, I love it. It's a great way to see the world and make a living.
And make a living and while making an impact. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I love what I do too. I feel the exact same way you do. Okay, last question. What's one piece of advice that you would give someone who's watching this, who has success inside of them, something that they want to do and succeed at, but they are facing obstacles? What's one piece of advice you would leave them with?
Start, act, move. It's the if we can imagine a world where we are contemplating or thinking about what might be done if I only take this action, then take the action. Test the theory. Push it out. It's scary. I know. It's the hard, like I said, it's the second hardest part of my model. It's to take action, to hurdle that towards your vision is very difficult. I know you got other things, other people that are trying to hold you back, or society may have said some stuff to you that's trying to hold you back, but you must take that action step, and no one can do it for you. Only you know if you took the action step or not. Only you know if you have hurdled over to that, what I call hurdling that adversity that's right in front of you. You have to, we call it hurdling. In hurdles, you got to attack the hurdle. You attack it. And that's an action step. It's with force that you attack the hurdle. And then hey, let's see what happens on the other side. But if you never attack and you're always just kind of looking at the hurdle, I know I can run a fast hurdle race. I know I can do a great hurdle race. And you never run a hurdle race, you don't know if you can run a fast hurdle race. We have to attack those hurdles that are in front. So that takes action. So get moving.
That's good. That's good. That is good. It's actually something I use in my presentation too, is taking action. So John, this has been a great interview, a great conversation. And I do want to wrap it up with something I probably should say in the beginning, but it's also, I think, a tip that I can leave for anybody who's watching this. So the reason why I'm even connected to you is, and I don't know if you remember or not, but probably so. At my very first Influence conference, and Influence is the National Speakers Association major conference. So at my very first Influence conference, I was sneaking in the back of the room for the last session. And the reason why I was sneaking in, I was going to sit in the back, was only because I had to catch a flight and I knew I would have to step out. But you waved me over to your table. I had not met you. I don't even know I had seen you the whole conference, but you waved me over to your table and you welcomed me, you embraced me. And you checked on me for months afterwards, just checking in, saying how you're doing, how's it going, and offered to be of service and support to me. And here we are, still connected years later. mastermind buddies where we talk every single week and help and encourage each other. It's been beautiful and it's been inspiring, and hopefully somebody can take a couple lessons from that too, in terms of welcoming somebody, a stranger or somebody who's new to a situation or new environment, and constantly calling and checking in and offering support where you can. Offering for and asking for, because I think we help each other where we can as well. And so it's been a beautiful relationship. I'm super appreciative of it. I'm inspired by your story. Inspired, see that? I'm inspired by your story. I'm inspired by your journey. And probably more importantly, I adore and appreciate your friendship. So thank you so much for making time for this. I know you're getting ready to head to Europe and change some lives over there. So thank you so much, John. This has been amazing.
Thank you, Summer. You're fantastic. I always love checking in on you because I know you always got something popping, something good. So happy to be on your So What Sessions show.
All right. Thank you.